Hi guys, this is Draco. We have more Merfolk gameplay lined up today. We have a cool league. We're gonna go through some matches and we're gonna battle up against all of these crazy 4-color variants who is really flooding into Modern right now. So not only creativity but also other kinds of version of this deck. So stay tuned for some cool gameplay with the Mono Blue Merfolk. Before we jump into the deck tech, I wanted to just talk briefly about what we talked about last time. This is the sub count, and I did an announcement last time that when we reach the 1,000 subs, I will be doing a deck guide for sideboarding, video sideboarding guide for you guys with the Merfolk list, and definitely tell everybody you know that we should subscribe for my channel, youtube.com/c/Dracowing. As soon as we hit the 1,000 miles, we will be doing this. So let's do that. I actually think that suddenly it seems like Medallion HexCatcher is becoming such a powerhouse in this deck. Not only is this the card that elevated us to Supreme status and Tier 1 status, but actually looking into the flexibility of the card, how often you can use it to save your creatures or counter some clutch effect from especially these clunky 4 or 5 color decks who just want to run out big stuff. This is actually letting me believe that I think it's actually even more powerful than Sverlunar at the moment. So thank God for the HexCatcher. The deck itself, we have 20 lands. This is kind of like the list that is most prevalent at the moment. We have in the mana base we have the Minamo, we have 1 Otovara, 1 Warlock Grove, and then 4 Caverns, 4 Motor Balls. The flex, the pretty stock list, you have all the 2-drops and the Sverloons, and then the Ether Vials and the Tide Chippers for this flex slots. And I think you do have 8 flex slots in Merfolk at the moment. We have 2 Curse Catchers as 1-drops. We have 2 Subtleties. We have the Forest Members and the sideboard. Spreading Seas, Harbingers, Wretched Bomb, Subtlety, 4 Force Negation, and 3 Chalice of the Void. But let's watch some gameplay from this here. Yeah, so up against LVG, and this guy, he wanted to play with us. This hand is not good, so we have to set that back. No, not enough. Unfortunately, not enough lands in the other one. This is much better. We can keep this. And what are we sending back here? I think actually want to send back we don't want to have too many lands, so we can consider sending back the Motor Vault. That'll allow us to play the Tricksters. We could also consider Subtlety, so I think it's between Motor Vault and Subtlety what you want to set back here. But it's pretty difficult. But we don't want to flood, so I think Motor Vault is fine to set back, and Subtlety can also handle an early threat sometimes. But you could easily have sent back Subtlety there. Okay, so let's see what we're up against. A Triome, which means that probably one of these 4-color deck we just talked about. We drew the Motor Vault, so I'm pretty satisfied with us sending that Motor Vault back. What does he do? Another Triome. Okay, let's just get the Trickster in. We need to get the pressure on, and Trickster is absolutely fine for that. We drew the Tide Chipper. That actually want to change my play. Normally I would just hold up the second Trickster, but here it makes sense to go out with the Tide Chipper to try to deny him mana. And I actually considered which Triumph should we do, but I think that the Catcher Triumph that is providing both red and green is pretty nice to hit. But this is, this is kind of difficult. It's so difficult to mana deny these decks because their mana is way too good. Notice that of course we have to always use the Cavern when you can, but not likely to get countered by the Rockland Triumph here. He plays the Expressive Iteration, can't do anything about that, but it's a good counter target if you can counter it in any shape or form. But he gets to play once repeats of this. Okay, normally these 4-color decks, you know them. They play Red 6, they play Omnath, they play sometimes Creativity, but let's just hit them in for 6, push the pressure on. And I actually think I want to resolve the Curse Catcher here, because let's just board out. Normally we don't see many board wipes in these kind of matchups, so I was considering here to hold back the Curse Catcher, but it's not good sitting in hand. So let's just run that out there. He finds the Overgrown Tomb, and unfortunately for us, he have another planes, and look at this. He has a Supreme Verdict. This is really rare that these guys are playing this kind of card. We can't counter it with the HexCatcher, so we have to let our squad die. What a blowout. Really strong by him. He even unlocks his Catred Triumph, and we don't draw the land for the subtlety, which wouldn't be nice. We draw another Trickster, and we can just pass the turn. He plays a Dryad. Dryad? Yeah, okay. So you could consider killing that off, but now he plays 2 lands. He's 3 cards in hand. I'm not scared about the Dryad before I see Valakut. So actually I just want to Trickster it down to put pressure on, and now I think we have the subtlety up. I'm not in a hurry to kill off this member, the Dryad. I think, yeah, let's stay in there. He Leyline Binding the Trickster, which is, I think, giving huge strength for that card, so let's just pass here. I have no problem with the Dryad. I don't think him playing a lot of mana is a problem, and you can see he's actually flooded here, and we can play out another Trickster. I want to set the subtlety for something like Omnath or one of the big planeswalkers. So hit in with Trickster. Go Trickster. Doing some tricks. And he has to prismatic ending the Trickster. And now in the end step, we need to apply pressure and utilizing his mana flood. So let's just put down the subtlety. HexCatcher, that's a great draw. And now we maybe activated the Motor Vault a bit too hastily, but then again, I think it's fine to kill off the Dryad if you have 2 dismembers here to get in the extra 2 points of damage. But the problem is that we won't be able to resolve the HexCatcher. But then again, we can't really counter anything when he has so much mana. So we were lucky he got flooded, even though he had a good blowout here. Okay. What is this we're up against? Some sort of domain control deck with Leyline and Supreme Verdict. Crazy with the Supreme Verdict in the main deck. But it's fine. We'll put in something from the sideboard here, and probably the problem with the Supreme Verdict is it's a great card. You can't force negation it. So it's kind of difficult to handle that. While we do this, I want to also shout out my sponsor, my sideboard, cardhoarder.com. If you need cards for the sideboard, you can go to cardhoarder.com, you can buy and you can rent cards there. I use them to get these new islands. You can see to the left I have I borrowed 10 points of islands, which are these, the Midnight Hunt islands. I think they're pretty cool and affordable, easy to get a hold on. So we got into extra subtleties, suspecting Furies and Elementals in general. Okay, not the greatest hand, but fine. In this case, I think I definitely want to lead with the Tide Shepherd, so we can apply pressure early. He starts with Triumph into Forest, and now here comes the Wrenn 6. Okay, so here, subtlety, yeah, it doesn't really get better on the short range, and I actually think Wrenn 6 maybe is really, it's always really important for him, but getting back the Windswept Heath could be really big for him. So here we subtlety Wrenn 6 pretty aggressively, and throwing away, I think as a Lord we throw away. But notice here, he actually chose to bottom set, and now I drew the Silvergate Adept, and many normal players would be to play the Adept, but because he bottoms the Wrenn 6, it's a big signal that he has another Wrenn 6. So I don't want to run out the Adept in a case where Wrenn 6 will just be able to come in and ping at it, and he did have the extra Wrenn 6. So I think this was the right line, and he recovers his Windswept Teeth. But we're doing a pressuring a board here. Okay, so notice here we're counting. Can he play the Leyline Binding? And actually he does have mana. If he finds mana with the Windswept Teeth, he can easily cast Windswept Teeth right now, which means that going for the lethal blow on Wrenn 6 is kind of dangerous. And instead I rather want to not overextend right now, holding up the Trickster, and then just give him 5 points of damage. If I run out the Master and attack Wrenn 6 with a Tide Shaper, he might Leyline Binding it, and then I don't kill Wrenn 6, then he soaks up the damage. But even if I play out anything else than the Trickster, he might just Supreme Verdict me, and that would be a 3-for-1. We don't want to give him that. The trick around the Supreme Verdict, since we can't counter, the trick to play around the Supreme Verdict is just to make sure you have enough pressure on the board, so he has to do something. He has to resolve it, and how he takes out the Lord of Relentless. But you know, 2 threats, that's fine. 1 or 2 threats, so he has to use it at some point, but because you can't really play around it, and then have tricks drop and end step for the Supreme Verdict if that was the case. We draw the Force Negation a bit late, but I think it's still fine. It's good in this matchup because you want to be able to counter exactly Ren at 6, and Express Fate Rain can also be good to counter. Again, the same consideration. Do we overextend and run directly into Supreme Verdict? Didn't have it the turn before, but then again, would he be that he used it there? So big case here. That actually leads me to not be running to run out the Master, because I run out the Master, I just get blown up by Ren 6. But running out the Adept, yeah, he can kill it with Ren 6, but it's much better for me just to make him stall a turn and see if I draw another card here. And we actually do the Subtlety, which can be pretty relevant. So yeah, he takes out the Adept, that's fine. It's not important for us. If we can resolve the Master next turn, we are lethal. And now comes the Valakut. So it's kind of this domain Valakut deck. And again, same situation. Do we want to go for lethal? 6 cards on hand. It seems pretty unlikely he doesn't have anything he can do here. So we just attack for 4. Let him do something, and yeah, here comes the Leyline Binding. Yeah, and we continue attacking him, ignoring the Ren 6 because we don't let it soak up damage. You only kill it if it's you know, going to go off, or if you can kill it in one sure blow. Another Valakut. Now the Subtlety could be relevant, and he pings us. Notice here, that's a big signal that he maybe has something quite different going on. Now he just used Veil of Summer when he played the Trickster instep. Just cycling the Veil of Summer here, not impressive. LVG87, and I think he didn't like what he found. And we're going into round 2. Just playing patient and putting pressure on. And here we have this hand, which is absolutely fine, not amazing, but when we can curve out a HexCatcher into HexCatcher into Svaelun, that's a pretty nice way of going about it, because then you have a lot of protection going on. And here comes the Savaitrome. So again, it seems like it's one of the 4 colors, or 4 or 5 color decks. Okay, so let's just run out the HexCatcher. Why would you run the Cavern out here and having to click, you know, 2 or 3 more times? Of course, we just run the HexCatcher. And it's nice to have supplementary 1-drops when you don't have the Ether Vial in your hand. Okay, another Triumph. We draw the Adept. Just attack with the HexCatcher. And here considerations, of course, are you going to run out the Adept or HexCatcher? But since we have the HexCatcher out, I want to hedge myself against Planeswalkers and other things. So let's just hold up the HexCatchers, because HexCatcher can only counter sorceries and instants. And what's going on here? He's going directly into the trap with the Teferi Time Reveler, and luckily for us, we have the HexCatcher. And look at this, HexCatcher being amazing, coming in here, and then we just have to make a small snapshot of this. This is great times. We can sack the HexCatcher to have the HexCatcher be the best HexCatcher in history, countering the Teferi Time Reveler. What an amazing card HexCatcher is at this moment. And we can say, get out of here, 3 Fairy. You are not welcome. He's just in shock and awe. One of the things I noticed with the HexCatchers is that you really rarely want to sacrifice the HexCatcher to itself. It's just such a great card. And make sure that you have fodder to sacrifice it. When I reviewed it, I was all about the modal effect, that you can play it and sack it, but I actually think that you should really try avoiding having to sack the HexCatcher itself. It's such a great card. So instead, get out these Silvergate Adepts, get out the HexCatcher, so you have some fodder for the HexCatchers. And sometimes it's like, but the trickster, the master is a 2/2 and stuff like that. But the effect of being able to do what HexCatcher does is such a strong, potent effect. Looking into his mana base, we're looking into can he do creativity next turn? If this looks like a creativity deck, we wanna, against creativity, you wanna remove as many red sources as possible. So we just take down the Savaitrome, and then we play the Utavara. and pass the turn with the Dismember up. We could have adapted and played a Tide Shaper, but I think in general I'm not in favor of just rushing out these adapts. They're fine just having it in hand. They can come into cycle later. Here he fires for 1. Yeah, and 1 to us. So couldn't really do anything about that. So let's just try to see what he does if we sack the HexCatcher to the fire. He does pay the mana. Sometimes they do, so I just always just sack the HexCatcher in this moment. Trickster is interesting. So here we wanted to discuss: are we playing out Svelun or are we playing out Adept in order to draw a blue source? Svelun would be vulnerable, but I think in general don't let her sit in hand too much. So let's just get it out there. He can't resolve a Hardcast Fury at this moment, but he can do creativity, which would be kind of bad, but nothing we could have done against that anyways. That's the problem with getting the HexCatcher killed here. So he does find the Dwarven Mine, but he did a really dumb pump fake here. He didn't notice that the Tide Shaper turned his Survivor into a mountain. And that's one of the other reasons why you really want to be able to use the Tide Shapers to remove his red sources, because the Dwarven Mine needs 3 mountains in play to make a dwarf. So big punt by him. And now he ice in the Svelun, which I think is a nice play. It denies me a draw. And now we want to search for the answer. And playing an Adept is absolutely fine, because the Trickster is not that relevant at this moment. But the Adept will mean that the Svelun is indestructible and we can still hold up Dismember. Dismember is great in this matchup, because you will be able to sacrifice or kill off the Dwarf token. I don't know why I don't play the Curse Card. I think I'd rather want to be able to play the Trickster. Okay, so here comes the Goblin Shaman token. We want to kill it in response to the Yawgmoth. Ooh, great draw here. Look at how much damage we do. Actually, I think we are almost lethal, right? We'll just play this out here. Yeah. Yes. We are lethal, yeah. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Okay. Against these guys, the big creativity deck that's just flooding all over the place, we want to be able to interact with them. So Force Negation is of course great. If they target multiple things, it's great. Get there's red sources, get them out there. Spreading Seas is great because it denies them a mountain, it denies them a red source. Ratchet Bombs also great. All of the things they want to target typically with their creativity is free. So Ratchet Bomb will blow it all up. Dismembers are good, because many of these decks are running the Dwarf Tomb we want to kill in response. Benny Hills. And we up one game against Benny. What will he do? But it would mean a lot for me to get. You can hear it, and I want to do a sideboard guide, that would be amazing. As soon as we get the 1,000 subs, you can see here. So sub to the channel. We are on 866, I think it was. So this hand on the draw is keepable. You have a blue source, which means that you will be able to. No, yeah, right. We didn't. Hang on, that's interesting. Go back. Actually, this is quite interesting. So this hand, would you mulligan this hand? 2 Dismembers, 2 Ether Vials, Force Negation, and HexCatcher. My big problem with this hand, I'm just like, normally I just screen this hand and say, okay, that's perfect. Let's keep that hand. The problem with this hand is that, yeah, it's a one-lander, but yeah, you can easily draw out of it. So it's not because it's a one-lander. The problem is that we have 2 Ether Vials. Okay, that's always a bit bad, but fair enough. The problem is these 2 Ether Vials, you have to draw mono creatures from now on if you're gonna get leverage out of this hand. Imagine you drawing a land and another Force Negation or something. Then these Ether Vials will just be doing absolutely nothing, and you are likely to draw lands as well. So my problem with this hand is that you have only 1 creature. That's why I think you could easily draw pretty bad on this hand. So I think this is a difficult one, but I would definitely throw it back. This hand is kind of lackluster, but we can't really, sit in mulligan to 5 at this moment. So we send back one of the islands, but look at these nice full art islands from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. I think this is pretty cool. My big discussion point is that in paper, when you sit and play, it's kind of difficult to see that they actually, tell them apart is difficult. Oh, top deck and HexCatcher. Not as good as drop decking either while, but at least it's a 1-drop. And luckily he didn't have the Red 6. That would have been, kind of crucial. I had to run it out there. We just have to put on the pressure. But this is great because HexCatcher allows us to curve out a lot better. One of the things that Vision and Dockhand does really well is that it avoids getting killed by the Ren 6 when you put it on. You play it on 1 on the draw. Instant Lightning Bolt. We can't consider Force Negation this. And you see, with 2 Svelloons in play, because he does it in our end step when it comes in, we have the option of doing that. And I think that's a pretty nice line. HexCatcher is great in this matchup, and we can now resolve as indestructible Svelloon, so I think it's the right line to do the aggressive Force Negation. And now he can't even go and fetch, creativity. He can do that here, but he can play a Fable of Mirror Breaker. I don't want to sack 2 creatures to kill that. Okay, HexCatcher. Okay, that means that we are just on the aggro. Activating the Mutavault is great here because it's a 3/3. We just attack with everything but the HexCatcher. And we draw Dismember. This is where we actually punt a bit because I think I was like, of course we don't wanna fine to run out the HexCatcher. That's absolutely fine. It's a 2/2 and he's on 5, but we don't want to let him attack here because that gives him another token. And actually, my problem is that you can see here he plays the Veil of Summer. That's fine, because this member doesn't do anything against the Veil of Summer. But now I should have just killed the Shimmer token right out the gates here. But I was just like, but this member can still be cast after the Veil of Summer resolve, but I can't counter that anymore. So great to play the Veil of Summer now, that's pretty nice. But notice here that he has no more lands, so if you just dismember the Shaman token before it attacks, and it's like, the Crystal token, I thought it was when you, later on. So that's a problem, big punt here, because now he got a free treasure token. And now he can actually resolve. He also gets he gets a dwarf token, and now he can resolve creativity. So this is not good, but we are on a lot of life here. But it's for 2, and we can kill off one of the creatures, considering which to kill off. It's because in general you want to use the dismembers in response, but of course here he got another token. Okay, Archon comes in, we have to sack a creature. This is gonna be the HexCatcher. But notice what we draw now. Otavara! I gotta say, this was hella lucky. Instant bouncing the Archon for 3 mana. And then attack in with the team. And notice here I can attack with everything because he can't block the HexCatcher, then he would die to the exactly 6 points of damage from the Svelloon and from the HexCatcher. So he has one more turn, and we now have multiple ways of getting in HexCatcher. He does play Change the Rocks, which is kind of a nice play at this moment. We can't really counter it, so we have to let it happen. And Ren 6, yeah, we could counter that one. Probably we should have. And here, this is where I punt because I didn't play this game pretty properly because in my mind that was a token, but it's a flipped enchantment, the Fable of the Mirror Breaker. That was the problem. So I cracked the Ratchet Bump to kill off the Reflections of Kiki-Jiki because it has no converted mana cost, but it's because it's flipped. So that's kind of awkward. Don't do that mistake at home. Really frustrating, but you have to play it from here anyways, and now we suddenly are way back and stuff. That's why I didn't counter the Ren 6, because I knew I had the game locked down. I thought I had the game locked down with the Ratchet Bump, removing the Reflections of Kiki-Jiki, and then exactly 3 points of damage, so I just let the Ren 6 resolve. The problem is I should definitely have just killed off the Ren 6. Now we attack in, forcing him to trade off here. He goes to 2, but my problem is that Ren 6 can kill off the HexCatcher, and we are in top deck mode. Frustrating. Frustrating. We sack the Warlock Grove to see if we draw anything. Mutavault's a great draw. Sorcery, speed creature. So nice that it can't be killed in anything like that. But see, instead we should have Ratchet bombed up to 1, so we could have killed the Change to the Rock, so it would have been a much better play. But I was sure that was the winning line because I didn't read the card properly. Okay, Tideshaper, also pretty nice. Let's start by attacking with Mutavault, seeing what is going to go on. He's cracking a land, finding a dwarf token, and now we can actually dismember the dwarf token. We have the Either Vial on 1, so we can resolve the Tideshaper anyways. But notice here that he does have another Veil of Summer, so it survives, and he can block it with Mutavault. But he's on 1, and we have the Either Vial for the Tideshaper on 1. Notice here, pings for 1, place another Ren 6. Pings for 1. Place a red mana, another Ren 6. Pings for 1. And cracks himself to death. What a way to go out. Heads up to you, Benny Hills. That was a rough game, the last one for him. I did 2 best players and then 1 anyways. That shouldn't have happened. We should have went to game 3. He got unlucky on the draws, having 3 Ren 6s there. Okay, let's see round number 3 against SOMERMR. This is an interesting matchup. This is actually Spirits. Haven't played against Spirits for some time, and it's always difficult, the travel matchups. We sent away the first hand, not enough action, and we don't know what's we're up against here, but Mr. Rainforest comes in, Hello Fountain into an Either Vial. And immediately I'm like, it's humans. So I play out the Tideshaper, which is a great 2-2 against the Hello Fountain. Perfect. He take up the Vial. And now we know that Spirit, Supreme Phantom. And considering here, is this a subtlety target? The problem with subtletying, the subtlety is bad here because of Either Vial. So maybe we should want to get a subtlety value in now, but they do have a lot of 3-drops. You know, a Tradition, Keenap, you know, that 3/3 Banish a Priest ish apparition, that the removal spell for 3 mana. We just attack in and notice that we could fake it here. We faked the HexCatcher. That's another thing with HexCatcher. Suddenly we have an instant speed, something like here, and he didn't want to block. So really nice. And we played out the Adept. Unfortunately, we don't find a land. I want to find a land for the Either Vial, so we get it up and running. And he has the Mausoleum Wanderer. And here comes another Supreme Phantom, and this is where, since he didn't play the 3-drop, I think now we have to pull the trigger for the salty. Otherwise, we will start taking too much damage. Notice that the Mausoleum Wanderer would suddenly be a 4/4 flyer, and the Supreme Phantom would be so it would take 6 points of damage instead of these 3. I think that's enough to make sure that it's fine to do it. And he bottoms it. Okay, so we had a racing situation. Unfortunately, we can't seem to draw the land. But we're heading in for pretty nice as well, and he has a Horizon Canopy, which is gonna hurt him as well. He also took damage from Windswept Heath, Mr. Rainforest, and Hello Fountain. So notice again, great that we never shock ourselves with our lands, only the Fiery Islet if we use those, and he has shocked himself for a lot of damage now, and now he's on 8. He puts in another Spirit, Rattle Chain. Great card. Not good in this matchup, we don't have enough removal. But it could have saved him if we used the Trickster earlier. But we're winning the race because of the subtlety. Subtlety was good here. And here comes Collected Company. Nothing we can do about that. It's a great card. And I think he had a pretty bad whiff on that one. Okay, sideboarding against Spirits. Interesting. I think against Spirits, we have the Harbingers. Those are great. You can also consider Ratchet Bombs. I also like the Dismembers. It's not it's something where you wanna pick out their most relevant spirits, and you can do some nice stuff at instant speed. Wretched Bombs could be a consideration. I'm not quite sure about Wretched Bomb in this matchup. They have some 1-drops, but it's not amazing. In general, you wanna be sideboarding in Wretched Bomb for when it's free spells like the Rhinos that cost nothing, or the Dwarf token. I put in a couple of force negations against the and turn 1 Ether Vial. Maybe we should just put in the 4 Ether Vial. I think those would be better. Who cares? It's spirits. We're Merfolk. We need to beat these guys. Yeah. This is a hand of magic cards. Not good though. Much better hand here. We skip back one of the HexCatchers and we have the Ether Vial on 1. You don't want to be too slow in this matchup. And unfortunately we draw another Ether Vial. Not interesting. But he has a slow start. Sacrigeist. Sacrigeist is the one that can tap down our dudes. If you tap 2 spirits, it can be itself. You tap down a spirit or a creature of your own choice. So it's a pretty nice control-ish aggressor. And we just pass here. Could have considered just playing out the Lord. I don't think there's anything we want to counter yet. I can say for sure there isn't. But then again, it's pretty nice to have this. So see here, he plays down the Skyclave Apparition in order to take out the Ether Vial. Can't do anything about that. We can't counter with HexCatcher, and we have nothing to put in. But now we can use the Trickster to tap down the Sacrigeist. This is just for tempo. And now the other Ether Vial becomes relevant. But drawing his Sveloon is interesting. This is kind of like the thing. They have all of these 3-drops, Drogskull Captain or something. You know, the one that gives hexproof and +1/+1. But we have much better 3-drop with Sveloon. Because I know he has Collected Company, I opt not to play out on Sveloon because I think in this case we need to be able to counter Collected Company with HexCatcher. He plays a Teferi, and I would also very much like to counter that one. So again, HexCatcher comes up strong here, countering the Teferi. The Teferi here would have been great because it would have bounced his Sveloon, which would have been kind of game breaker. So I'm really glad I did it like this. They do go on the aggressive. And Tideshipper is interesting. But now we're gonna get the Sveloon in there. We don't want to sit a 2-hand, and we can put in the Ether Vial, the Tideshipper from the Ether Vial. I don't think no mana deny here, but we have the Tideshipper we can put in. But lucky for us, he has the Phantasmal Image. And that's interesting, but we don't have anything to use it. It's a cloned effect that if you target it with anything, it dies. But he can counter. He can copy his Skyclave Apparition and attack in, or and remove the Sveloon. So now he's really beating down. Also, Noble Hierarch providing Exalted for the Sacrigeist. But we have the Tideshipper. And now it's about time to show that Merfolk can make a lot of damage happen out of nowhere. So drawing another Mutavault, not the worst. It's a good creature. Put down the Mutavault. And we count. Now we are in a racing situation. It's off to the races. But we know he's going to tap down, so we pass, he's going to tap down, and now he can't tap down anymore. So now we put in the Lord of Lands. We don't want to have him blocking. We want to have him to tap down beforehand, and now we put in 6 points of damage. Okay, so suddenly, 6 points of damage out of nowhere. The Tideshipper comes in, the Lord of Lands comes in, and the Mutavault attacks. So we have suddenly a lot of board presence. 9 points of damage, 9 points of health is really low in this matchup. But the good thing about the apparitions is they are spirits as well, so he can use the Sacrigeist to tap it down. But notice the Noble Hierarch is not. Here comes the Drogskull Captain, protecting his Skyclave Apparition that is removing the Sveloon from the game. So this is a pretty nice card for him. But he can't really afford to attack because he can't kill us, and we have multiple threats. Yeah, you can't attack, bro. You have to tap down 2 creatures here. Or at least it would be aggressive not to be able to tap down 2 creatures. Okay, but look at this. Here comes the Trickster. Interesting card. How would we use that? notice that we can actually not, activate it for hitting any of the spirits other than the Draco captain. So we go to attack and let him tap down first, because he can always tap down in response to us playing the Trickster. So he taps down the Mutavault, and now he has to tap down one more. He taps down another Mutavault, and notice again how much damage we have. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 exactly. If we tap down the Noble Hierarch, we can do exactly lethal. Muy bueno, muy bueno. Okay, that's unfortunately all I had for you guys tonight. I gotta say that this deck has been performing really strongly, and it's a great place to be. I think the things you could consider is the sideboard primarily, the 1-drops or the sideboard, and other than that, I think this is pretty nice. There's also small things you could be doing in the sideboard, maybe even Otavara, having one more Otavara. This is just a really great card. Minamo also in consideration, should we have it on a Boro instead. And then you can see right now we have, I think it's 9 islands. I think you don't want to go too much down. There's a lot of Blood Moons going on. But this was the video for this time, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And as soon as we hit the 1,000 subscribers, we will be doing the sideboard guide for Merfolk. Have a great day, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.